It's a Monday, it's Christmas morning, and welcome you one and all. May God bless your Christmas. Now, this morning, the EFCC and the assault on corruption, the Hiccups, on February 27, 2015, then flag bearer of the APC, Muhammadu Buhari, was at Chatham House, please, let me go on. Chatham House, an independent policy institute based in London. In his speech on the occasion, Prospects for Democracy in Africa, Nigeria's Transition, the soldier-turned-Democrat talked about corruption as the bane of Africa's development, and if you like, arrested development. This morning, I have two gentlemen who defied the holiday to come to the studio just so we look at corruption. Nelson Ekujimi is an agitator and a public affairs analyst. Nelson, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you, Citizen Jones.
Olayinka Ola Daniels is a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
The war on corruption and administrative hiccups. Ola, where do we start from?
Well, I think that question is very, very ambiguous, but we will still start somewhere.
I had to start with you because you are in the legal profession.
Yes.
So
we still have to start somewhere. And when we are saying starting somewhere, we have to look at some fundamental issues that need to be put in place. Because if there's a fundamental error from the beginning, the truth is, the so-called fight against corruption is just going to be
so-called.
Yes, so-called, because the truth is, what I see is a recovery of stolen funds.
Okay.
I won't see it as fighting corruption. So far, what we have seen in display is just a sheer recovering of stolen funds. Who have we
So the act is not punished?
It's not.
Okay.
Who have we seen being convicted since this particular administration came in to office? That's 2015.
Wouldn't you like to start from 2003 when the EFCC came?
Yes, I think we should even look at it from there. Okay, maybe then we had a few celebrated cases. I would say a few. You see, we can't take it away from EFCC that they've not done so much. They have. Because there are a lot of cases that we don't even hear about, that they work on. But the few celebrated cases, we can count them at the tips of our fingers, the few ones that have been convicted. Few. Because we still have, some of them are still pending, even since then. Because why? Probably the prosecution has not done anything, has not done the due diligence with its job. No evidence, nothing. That's the reason why in the end they come, and what you hear is, what do they call it? Still bargaining.
Plea bargaining.
You plead bargaining, and you come and, you drop this, okay. And even when somebody has stolen like 100 billion, it comes to say, oh, I've only stolen 60 billion. Okay, we'll give 40 billion, I'll have 20 billion. In actual fact, is having 60 billion because he has already disclosed maybe 40% of whatever he has stolen. And you then probably measure a sentence of 6 months to this person, then the person ends up the 6 months in the hospital.
But plea bargain is in our books.
It is. It is. That's the reason why I said, if we are serious, we will fight corruption. We are not, and that's the reason why somebody would dare whatever it is to steal, because he knows that in the end, the books is clear. What happens to the Constitution? We have said that the fundamental error, the fundamental problem we have in this country is our Constitution.
Yeah.
Until that Constitution is revisited. Because this is the Constitution that was put together by the military, for the military, not for Nigerians.
Okay. Olayinka, Nelson, he made a top impression on me. We are making recoveries and not fighting corruption. How do you reconcile that with the claims of the acting chairman of the EFCC? He says he has made 340 convictions since he came.
Well, thank you very much. I want to disagree with him on some aspects, and it is with regards to the fact that he said we have been making recoveries, that there's been a seeming fight against corruption. I want to disagree with him on the basis of, if he's looking at it from the angle of class interest, because whether you like it or not, the truth of the matter is that the EFCC has made a lot of convictions. But what happens is that a lot of those convictions are not politically exposed persons. Because it seems in this part of the world, we only believe there's trouble we only believe there's trouble in town when a big man is affected. When it affects...
It's a syndrome.
It's a syndrome. And, it shouldn't be like that, because whether you are a vulcanizer on the road, or you are the king of a town, or you are the governor, everybody should be under the law, even though we know there are some proviso in the Constitution. So I beg to disagree that there has been no fight against corruption, even though the government at times realizes that, look, there are some other avenues in the law books that should be explored because of inadequacies, the inadequacies of the system. And that is why people like us will not solely, stick out our neck for punishment for corruption, like capital, punishment, because of the fact that you must realize the glaring inadequacies in our system. This is a system that even cases that have the punishment as a capital, that have the sanctions as capital punishment, you see people who are saddled with the responsibility of carrying out that act, telling you they don't want to have blood on their hands or on their neck. You have a lot of people awaiting death, sentence in the prison houses all over the country, whereby the courts have done their part, the prosecution has done its own. It's now left for the authorizing authority for such a punishment to be carried out.
But I hear that such executions should not be for the TV cameras.
Definitely, I wouldn't know whether the law says it should not be for the TV cameras, because we remember...
Who will tell us?
We remember vividly where in this same country some years back, when I was growing up as a boy, whereby when people are arrested for armed robbery, they are taken to the bar beach, and the cameras and everybody is there. I still remember the Oyenusis of this world.
The military.
Yes.
It was a military era.
Okay.
Everything was by fiat.
Okay. So, but the convictions, I'm not sure they were by fiat. It was by law, because the military could not convict anybody, whether we're operating, a military or civilian government, but rather they will take the process, along the way. The person will be taken to court, and, the courts will determine whether the person should, face the maximum punishment.
Yeah.
So I believe strongly that even during the military, people were not convicted in the military barracks. They were convicted in the law courts.
Nelson, let me put it to him, Olainka. Do you remember Justice Mohammed and Ricky Taffa, SAN?
Yes.
Was that not a frontal assault on corruption?
See, when he said he would not agree with my submission.
But don't
I'm
forget,
coming back, yes.
Okay,
I'm coming back. He said he would not agree with me on that. And I said...
He's right.
Yes, it's an opinion. See, it is clear. If you are fighting corruption and we have scapegoats for the whole nation to see, to witness that indeed, yes, we are fighting a cause.
Was the goat complicit?
Very, very.
Okay.
If you have, and we are fighting that, and you see that indeed, yes, we are fighting corruption, the next person would avoid it. To Ricky Taffa issues and the other justice, it's sad and it's appalling that such could happen in a society, that we come and we come and we tell the world that, oh, this is what we stand for. And that happened until today. Nothing has happened. What have we seen?
I hope you are not swallowing your word now.
No, I am not. I'm not.
Have you heard such a thing as when corruption fights back?
We all know that definitely it will happen.
Have you heard it?
Yes, I have heard that severally. Okay. And it's just all those political
gymnastics
and all that. Because the truth is, an individual, nowhere in the world that an individual or an organization will fight the government of the day stand still if the government is serious. Yes, corruption will fight back.
Break it down.
Good.
So Ricky Taffa,
yes,
one charge against him was that he was the conduit, took money to the justice. And lawyers, your colleagues, were behind him. Nelson, are you get what I'm saying?
No, definitely I'm with you, yeah.
The question, when you say our colleagues were behind him, the question is, was there any proof, enough evidence to show? You see, don't just say our colleagues were behind him. The law is clear.
Okay.
If the law says, if you commit an offense, this happened, the law will also put elements to an offense to say, okay, if you commit theft, for example, the element is there must be something tangible, must belong to another, there must someone that have taken that thing to the. So if any of those elements is missing. Yeah.
Olayinka, before I pass over to Nelson, plea bargain presupposes that the man in the center of the controversy has accepted guilt.
Thank you.
But he's pleading just to bargain his way out. What does the law say there?
Everybody will steal and plead that, okay, I've committed this offense, just take this and let me go.
So the law does not say you must punish the offense?
The law doesn't say you shouldn't punish the offense. The law gives rooms. Don't forget, the likes of Hebrew, they came, they pleaded, they was plea bargain, and also they were still sentenced. Don't forget, they were still sentenced. So the law did not say because you come with plea bargain, you cannot still be punished. No, it's totally different. That is where, you see, what the law may consider is the fact that you had come to surrender. And don't forget, even when this crusade, this anti-corruption crusade came in, when Professor Sage came, he said, okay, all of you that know that you have stolen, come, bring the money so that we can resolve it. And you don't really face charges. But if you don't, if we come for you, it will be a different story entirely. The same thing with, is just, that is plea bargain, that you come to tell, but the question, what I am saying is, if we talk about this plea bargain, that's the reason why I say a lot of things need to be, reviewed and repealed thereabout. Because if you say plea bargain, everybody, tomorrow people will steal and still come under plea bargain. And like I said, you will get a 6-month imprisonment as a punishment. And the 6 months you will spend it at the hospital, while some other people are rotting in jail.
Nelson, on October 18 of this year, Information Minister Alhaji Lai Mohammed said the federal government was not going to micromanage the fight against corruption when the PDP shouted, oh, the government is going after perceived enemies.
Well, the truth of the matter is that, you know, like you have rightly said, the fight against corruption is not a tea party. And it is not for the faint-hearted. Those people who have corruptly enriched themselves will not fold their hands and allow themselves to be punished according to law. That is why what disturbs people like us is that you see cases where a young man or somebody who is not politically exposed, when they commits crime of corrupt crime and is taken to courts, the courts adjourns. Maybe this is December. The court could adjourn it to March.
Sometimes senior die.
Yes. But when you see a politically exposed person, he goes to court today, the court addresses his bail conditions today, tomorrow the court gives a ruling that, okay, the man is granted bail. Meanwhile, the other man or woman who is not politically exposed does not have that benefit, that luxury that the politically exposed person has. So it tells you fundamentally there's something wrong with the system. And that is why we're talking about the issue of the Ricky Taffa that we've not had anything. It's because even the executive, when they have prepared all the charges, until and when the court sits, that is when the cases can be decided. I'm sitting down here before you. I had a case before a court. The court was supposed to give judgment in December 2016. The court adjourned till January 2017. That's the court in Apapa in Lagos. As I'm sitting down here till as at this moment, the court is yet to give a date for ruling on that case.
Let me adjourn what you're saying on that until after this break. Please, if you're on a Christmas morning, it's crazy we're having to discuss corruption. It is the bane of our development. More so from the perspective of the EFCC, the hiccups, they are there. Let's take this break. We'll be back. Okay then, welcome back. EFCC's anti-corruption hiccups. Nelson, before the break,
yes, I was.
You were in court, and so what's the position now?
The court is yet to give judgment a year after. I'm still waiting for the court to give judgment. And you know, a lot of my people were even telling me, "Oh, why did you waste our time? You spent all the time, all the resources going to court every day, and you know that we should have taken the laws into our hands." But you know, I was very much afraid because of my, you know, image as a public affairs, you know, personnel. That is why I had to follow the rule of law. And I told them it's the only way that you can have peace of mind. Because if you take the laws into your hands, you know, the consequences are what you can never predict.
Olainka, let me put it to you again. Once every year, you elect a particular city. You have your
MBA conference.
Your conference. Beyond the backslapping and hello, how do you do's, what do you discuss there?
Well, that's a good one, because I remember the last conference. I was there and...
Port Harcourt?
No, the one we had in Lagos.
Okay,
yeah.
Lagos.
And yes, and I was there and I looked and I asked myself, what are we really doing here? You know, after all the seminars and all that, and even the right of the junior lawyers were not even put into consideration.
You have rights, you claim?
Yeah, yes, because, don't let us go to that, because we are not on that. When you see some senior lawyers taking briefs of the junior ones, you see, there are a lot of things. In fact, they want them to pay dues. They do all that. Even the so-called MBA, we pay dues for a number of years.
Is it so-called?
Yes, I'm using that word because I will tell you, I am not happy with some of the things that is happening. Even in our own organization, MBA, are we the same people that a lot of things are not in place coming out to then fight for the public? If it's not just for ourselves. We've been paying dues for a number of years. The last time an ID card was issued to a lawyer was 2009, if I remember vividly. And we pay every year. So, those are the people that are going to come and...
Shortage of cards.
That's shortage of cards, I doubt.
Perhaps.
But so that's the reason why I said I don't want to go there. You know, but let's face it. Like you said, you rightly said, there are a number of issues. It's not... No, let's set the record straight. It's not as if, because I know I belong to the Lagos branch, and I know that at our meetings, Mondays, we talked about this. We really deliberate on it. But then when we do that, we'll still have to pass it to the national level. But the question is, do they embrace it?
National
do they look at it?
Interest. Nelson, I wonder how he would react to the lady who made to be called to the bar in the hijab. You know, whereas the legal profession stands on laws, written laws.
Yeah. Well, it tells you clearly the type of impunity or act of lawlessness that has become characteristics of us as a people. You look at, you know, somebody knows the rules, but because he or she wants to prove a point from whatever angle you want to look at it, you know, he bends, the person, you know, assaults the law. And surprisingly, in the same country, you see people come up and make defense.
Nelson, it starts from there. That's to go back to him. He said, we are just recovering funds, looted funds, and not fighting corruption. It starts from, I had a reason for bringing that.
Yes.
So let's look at the assault on corruption frontally, vis-a-vis the EFCC.
Yes, the assault on corruption should not be unexpected. There's a recent trending issue where an industrialist was arrested by the anti-graft agency, and before you knew what was happening, people had already started, singing the ethnic and religious songs.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself,
are you surprised?
I'm not surprised, because you know why? I recollect very well that the former Minister for Power, Professor Nebo, and the psychiatrist, Dr. Ipaye, stated it very clearly that, 1 out of 3 Nigerians, has mental challenges. So it could not, maybe you cannot divorce that from the way we behave or the way we conduct ourselves. Because you expect that once somebody is brought or alleged to have committed an offense, before you start rising to the defense, the most rational thing for you to have done is to sieve out the facts that
from the fiction.
From the fiction. But this is a society that, we have returned to the Stone Age, whereby when they call you remember in those days in Lagos where we resort to, jungle justice, when they call you thief, people will not wait to ask.
For the next policeman.
Yes. Just like it happened in the case of the Alufo. The facts came out that these boys only went there to recover a debt from a debtor. And in order for the debtor not to pay, the debtor shouted thief that they wanted to rob. And people didn't wait to find out until they had beaten those boys to death. That was when the truth came out. And that is the way the society is for now, except some of us, refuse to toe the mob action line, which is very, very dangerous for all of us. And that is why the anti-corruption war is one that a lot of us need to key ourselves into. We need to understand the facts from the fiction, like you have rightly pointed out. We should stop this ethnicity and religion that has become, a veritable tool in the hands of people who are manipulating us.
After all, there's no such thing as a small crime, a small corruption.
Corruption is corruption.
Olayinka, let me borrow this phrase, so-called. The so-called sting operation on justices.
Yes. So-called, take that again.
The so-called sting operations on justices.
Yes.
You remember?
Yes.
Was that not a frontal assault?
It's like I said, you can't take this away from our society. Why? Because it's a primitive society.
Oh, your society?
Our society. It is our society. This is where we are. Because if it is not primitive, our people will not eat up on fallacy and leave issues. Our people will not make religion and ethnicity a bedrock. When some people steal and they come together, I witnessed something on Thursday and I saw a caliber of people and I look at them and I said, these are the people they talk about, they send religions to the masses. But when they come together, there's no religion. When they come together, there's no ethnicity. When they come together, there's no, no tribe, and nothing, no sentiment. They come together as a unit. These are the people running the nation. Yet, when they laugh, when they eat together, they dine together, they drink, then they tell you, don't mind them, he's a Christian, he's not a Muslim, he's a pagan or Babalawo or whatever. And they come and, so that is the reason why I said, if we live in a primitive society, you can't take that away from it until when we see the truth about the society and we choose as one to fight.
Yinka, the truth, not somebody's truth, but the universal truth.
Yeah? There is a test of a reasonable man.
Okay.
And to an extent, that has been, clearly stated. Lord Dennis said that there's a test of a reasonable man. Even if at all, things are subjective to your beliefs, to my understanding, to your own understanding, but there's a common ground in which we all come together to say, okay, indeed, yes, this is it. So we are there.
Nelson, we can cite the case of former Senate President David Mark here. Is it politics, clannishness, religion? Is in the eye of the storm.
Yes, it's in the eye of the storm, and the facts are there in the public domain. But unfortunately, like we have rightly pointed out, the assault on corruption will come from all quarters. And, you know, like I stated earlier, that the fight against corruption is not a tea party. It's one in which there's conspiracy, even, you know, where you least expect. This is a man who was alleged to have, you know, bought a property that ordinarily should not have been sold. And the man is claiming that, look, it was put for sale. It's just like somebody who, what the former Senate president has done is laughable, because it's like somebody who goes out there and buys a car, and when the police now comes and say, oh, this car was stolen, the man tells the police, look, I didn't steal it, I bought it. Whether it was stolen from somewhere, I care less. It tells you that that person is an accomplice.
So let's spread it. David Mark, Christian, the Deputy Senate President, Christian,
yeah.
Nafada Speaker,
Muslim.
Dimeji
Bankole.
Christian.
No, Dimeji Bankole is a Muslim.
Oh, Muslim.
Muslim, yeah.
Then Nafada, who was Deputy Speaker. These are men who are shared in the largesse of buying these houses that should.
Yes.
So corruption at this point had a starting point, Olainka.
Corruption does not know religion. It doesn't know ethnic. It doesn't know those things. That is what I said, that when it comes to that point, nobody talks about corruption. Like you just mentioned, we have the Muslims, we have the Christian, we have some that doesn't even have different beliefs from that. But when it comes to corruption, they all come together.
No animist amongst them.
At all.
I haven't. No animist has been in the dock.
Well, I don't know.
They have been either Christians or
Muslims. well, but then that is what we are saying is that, like I always say this, what we are fighting today, that we think we are fighting, because like I said, that we are only recovering and not fighting any corruption. But if people think we are fighting corruption, I will tell you again.
No, that's why I cited the case of former Senate President.
Yes.
Isn't that a frontal assault on corruption?
It is. That is the reason why I said we're only recovering. Okay, now today, the government has said, okay, we won the House. And
it's been given 21 days.
We will be here. We will see the thing. Okay, when the House is now, let's even say the House is recovered from him. So what next? What happened? He goes, he has given the House back to them. Then he goes, in the first place, what was due process followed? What happened? How did you get the House?
Who is culpable?
Thank you. Now the question, nobody's going to answer those questions.
Or ask them.
We've been asking, but nobody's going to answer. So that is why we are saying, what if you say you are even fighting it? I will tell you, you're only fighting the fruits of corruption, not the roots of corruption. It has eaten deep to that man at the gate. It has eaten deep to everyone on the road. It has eaten deep, even in your own house. So we have a long way to
you go to the ATM, the security man greets you 10 times a second.
Thank you.
And
because
you pay for the greeting.
Yeah, for the greeting.
That's corruption, if you ask me. All right, then, it's still a Christmas morning. And
we'll come back to that.
Crazy to discuss corruption on a Christmas day. So what's wrong with that? We'll come back from the break. All right, then, I'm sitting here on a Christmas morning wondering if corruption can be fought to a standstill. The two gentlemen here are not in agreement yet. We look forward to a point of agreement. Nelson Ekujimi, a public affairs analyst and activist. You activists in this country have a case to answer.
Everybody has a case to answer, not only activists. Because like the Bible says, we have all sinned and come short of his glory. And, you know, part of the realization is what you have just put to the front burner. Take the example of the, you know, the former Senate President and other national officers of the 7th Senate then, or 6th Senate. You expect that, you know, the fight should, you know, entangle those who were involved in this shady business.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised that by the time the case is about to get into full steam, some people will cry out, oh, it's because it's from my own from our own part of the country.
Yeah.
Like you have rightly said, the opposition party is already crying that, look, this fight
is selective.
Is selective.
Sorry, what is not selective is you can call. There's a number on display on your screen. Call, be a part of the discussion. It's and everybody's headache. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, people will come out and try to assault the fight against corruption. But it behoves on us all to realize that this fight against corruption should not be the responsibility of only the government or the anti-graft agencies. It should be a collective fight. Because whatever state we are in today, we have all been brought this low because of corruption. Because of corruption today, you see a graduate of 10, 15 years still doing menial work. You see a young man or a young woman. In those days, I used to envy those who were before us. I remember my uncle, by the time he was, you know, undergoing his National Youth Service and he was finishing youth service, that was in the 70s. He had a Datsun 120Y awaiting him.
Okay.
There was, you know, the promise of a job in the civil service and other, you know, offers that were thrown.
Population didn't explode.
But you can also...
There was no population explosion. But let me, a little something to note here. There's a number, a telephone number on display on your screen. The usual numbers are having hiccups, as we are discussing. Please bear with us. Call, let's get to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes, but, you know, even as at that, the level of corruption then was not that it could not have limited those opportunities, unlike what we have now, where people will just...
We have more money.
More money is being thrown around.
More people.
And more money is going into private pockets.
And when Olayinka hears that a director in the Federal Civil Service owned 86 houses, if he is caught, you're saying, not only him.
I will say this, and I will say it for everyone to hear me. If we are fighting corruption, and we still talk about
should we fight corruption? Should we?
Yeah, you see.
Should we fight it?
It is not what we are saying we should fight. Because when you're fighting it, it will fight. Don't forget that fight.
Should we make the attempt? Fight it?
Not just fight corruption.
Okay.
We should do everything, wear all the armor to kill corruption.
If it is possible.
If it is possible. Not just fight, because it's for two people are involved in fight. But if we have to wear all the armor to kill corruption, we know everywhere in the world there is. But see, we cannot say we are fighting corruption in this country and we are talking about plea bargain. Our statutes in this country gives so much encouragement to all these things. Because what you get, okay, when you get it in the hand, you're caught, then you go to the court, then court probably a few years and all that, and you come out and you're still bragging. In those days, when we were very little, when things like that happen, that you even stole, you are caught that you stole something, the shame, you can't even face the public. But today, reverse is the case. Somebody went to prison, he came out, and he's still bragging. In fact, people are celebrating him, people welcome him, and they are rejoicing that he came back from prison. Now you can see the society we are in today. What I am saying, the statute needs to be revisited. Our laws. There's nothing like plea bargain. If you are caught, everything should be taken away from you. Not just few. Everything should be taken away from you. It's either you die in prison or you face a capital offense, which is death. 2, 3, because if all those things happen, and again, even if I will add to it, I will ban every member of your family coming out from any public offices. When you see these things, before you steal what does not belong to you, before you acquire things that belong to people, you think twice.
You are dreaming of a utopian state.
Even Citizen Jones, I want to disagree again with you. I wouldn't want a situation whereby because somebody is convicted, when he comes back into the society, such person, if he shows remorse, if he's repented, should not be.
Is there remorse from the ones we've seen so far?
Just hold on. You see, we cannot judge every case on the same, on the same pedestal. We must give people the benefits of, because I believe the purpose of our sentencing system is not to kill, but to reform, to rehabilitate, to reorientate. Because somebody who has stolen...
And reintegrate.
Somebody who has, violated the laws, there's the reason for us to encourage. It's just like your child in the house, that if the child has done wrong, you spank the child, and when the child behaves properly, you commend.
Nelson, are Nigerians wrong in expecting Buhari to kill corruption?
No, Nigerians are not wrong. But Nigerians must realize that President Muhammadu Buhari is a mortal like any one of us. That President Muhammadu Buhari alone cannot engage in the fight against corruption, because President Muhammadu Buhari controls only an arm of government. President Muhammadu Buhari will not be the one that will go out there and be investigating corruption cases. There are agencies, and there's the legislature to make the laws very firm against corruption. And the judicial arm of government also has a responsibility to play. So if President Muhammadu Buhari arrests all the corrupt people in the world, or investigates in the country, I mean, without the cooperation, the efficiency and effectiveness of the judiciary, President Muhammadu Buhari will only be walking the talk, you know. He will not. He will don't
talking the talk.
Talking the talk. I mean, and not walking the talk. So it is important for us to realize that fight, in as much as we recognize the pitfalls, the challenges that it is presently experiencing, it is not unexpected. But we must not lose hope. We must look forward to breasting the tape that, look, this fight against corruption is a fight that will exist so long as man is on this earth.
Okay, let me share this with Olayinka. North Korea, Pakistan, Iran, Indonesia, Thailand, the Philippines, they have one thing in common. In those countries, if you are accused of corruption,
capital offense.
Should we make it a capital offense here?
Why, for me, like
from
I
the
said,
legal angle.
From the legal angle. You see, every law, it's just that in Nigeria, our law, some of the laws are so archaic, and nobody's even making an attempt to look at the society. You see, the society moves. Some of those countries...
Nobody makes an attempt. Some people refuse to make attempts.
Maybe.
Once every year, I talked about your bar conference.
Yes.
Okay.
What do you discuss there?
Thank you. Like I said, I'll come to that. These people, I'm sure there was a time it was not a capital punishment, right?
Oh, yeah. In those countries.
Good, in those countries.
Yeah.
Now, what we are saying is this. If our laws had come this way, and our society and the law cannot comprehend the society we are in today, what stops us from changing this law to accommodate the society? Or, you know, thank you. In the reality is to say, okay, now today, this is what we are saying, then change our laws. Then when we see that, okay, maybe in 10 years, in 20, 50 years, things have really worked fine for us, then we can still revisit to still use that same law to accommodate the new society at that time. That is my position. Yeah. I support capital punishment as we speak. We are talking about today, as a society as of today. Tomorrow, it may change. But that we should still live with the so-called, with the law, the archaic law. No. Like you said, back to MBA. These are the things the MBA should stand for. These are the things. Some of us, probably we are not the big organs, the SN that meet, and we're maybe not part of the executive, or maybe our voices are not loud enough for them to hear us. These are the things we talk about. Even the Constitution, we've been on the amendment since we've been going back and forth, and we're not seeing, we're not forging ahead in any way.
I share your state of mind, because as you sit here, you may not get the juicy briefs, but it's all right. It starts from somewhere. Nelson, the chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Anti-Corruption, Professor Issa Sage, accuses the APC leaders of promoting corruption. He asked if people were surprised at what's happening at the NNPC.
Well, I expect that Professor Sage, a respected legal jurist, must be speaking based on facts available at his fingertips. But I expect that, you know, he must also realize where we are coming from, because of the fact that even our political parties, if you look at them, you cannot really identify what they represent. You can't identify the political ideology of the parties, neither can you identify any principle with a lot of the members who make up those parties, because a party is supposed to be an aggregate of, you know, people and, you know, with common interest. But for Professor Sage to be making that statement, you know, with regards to the NNPC that you have mentioned, I'll tell you clearly that, you know, the level of corruption at most public institutions, you know, is mind-boggling.
We are suffering one now.
Yeah, you know, it's part of it, because you see the fuel queues here and there. The NNPC says one thing today, the marketers respond, and, you know, the NNPC is behaving as if the marketers are a law unto themselves. Meanwhile, the NNPC is the one that regulates the marketing, the oil business in Nigeria. You expect that the NNPC should be one that, you know, should be above board in its dealings. You know, in that way, they'll be able to rein in.
When we discuss these things, people will tell you about market forces. Olayinka, these are evil forces. I know the viewer is busy munching, chewing, drinking. Please, there's a telephone line on your screen. Maybe the network palaver. The network should allow us enjoy our holiday. Yeah, so as we begin to take it home, look at the new year. Let's start like this. Ibrahim Magu, acting chairman of the EFCC, is still embattled. Twice his confirmation had been on hold. What do you see in the new year?
Well, I will say this, I've said it several times. If Magu is presented to the Senate 100 times, it will not be confirmed. So don't let us go to that. It will not be confirmed. So the only thing that can happen is for him to continue in the acting capacity. Anyway, the law gives Mr. President power to allow him work in acting capacity as long as Mr. President wants him and all that. He only said they should confirm. He didn't give them the law didn't give the Senate any power to fire Magu, or to appoint Magu. He only said they should confirm. So there's nothing they can do about that. Magu can continue, but the question I also still ask is, if it's not Magu, can't we talk about institution? Must it be an individual? That is, you see...
Olayinka, don't fall into that trap. Yes, strong institutions are...
Very strong.
Are propelled by strong individuals who lead them.
Very true. Very true.
Sorry.
Factor that in.
Good. If don't forget that when EFCC started, we had Ribadu. We have Mr. Ribadu. Now, when Ribadu left, we saw the progress, how it moved. They still pick people like that. And when issue of Magu, are you telling me that?
But don't just gloss over it. Ribadu was succeeded by Farida. Yes, Farida by Lamode.
Lamode now.
Can you look at the progress chart?
Yes, because they were underneath. They were underneath. The individuals that they looked at and they're okay, fine, these are the capacity. Even when...
So we save time. On a scale of 10, can you score Madam Waziri at the EFCC?
Yes.
Over 10?
She did her part. Maybe I'll give her, over 10, I'll give her 7. She did her part, what she could do.
Nelson Lamorde?
Well, if you want me to score Lamorde, maybe I'll give him 3. But let me quickly correct this situation. Okay. When he was talking about, is it only Magu? I think it is important for us to realize that, like you already said, their institutions are built by people with strong character.
Let me buttress that again. The CG of Customs had just brought in 1 billion, 1 trillion naira, as against what we used to have. He heads an institution. Some cynics have said, is it because he has no uniform?
And again, we must not succumb to institutional intimidation. You have rightly said that the Senate does not have the power to hire or fire. The Senate can only confirm. So it must make it very clear to institutions of state that they must abide by their rules of engagement. Enough of intrusion and recklessness or rascality, if you permit me that word. Take, for example, the case of the former First Lady. The EFCC took her to court. The EFCC confiscated her properties based on the temporary forfeiture order from the court. Do you know what happened? The House of Representatives were inviting the EFCC chairman to come and explain. That is a legislative rascality, if you ask me. Because they don't have that pass.
Does Lainka see that?
Very well. I agree with that on that.
And you can even see it in the case of the so-called industrialists that, EFCC arrested recently. That the Senate was now passing a motion to investigate a matter that we have information that the case is in court. And even if the case was not in court, one expects a responsible Senate to encourage the EFCC to abide by the rule of law.
Nelson, it begs the question of what would the police do? Laika, let me tease you. I hope you are comfortable with this.
I'm very comfortable.
Ahead of 2019, do you see Mr. President trading Magu in? You get the picture?
I don't see that happening. Though,
okay.
You
see the picture?
Fight. Yes, the cabal may fight. But looking at Mr. President, I am not seeing any body language of Mr. President trading Magu. I'm not seeing it. Like I said, we do not know the cabal game on this. But if Mr. President we use his will and the will that people enjoy, because he's enjoying the people's will, and I hope that I hope that what's it called, the people's will prevail on this.
Which is,
Mr. President, we know things are hard, things are difficult. We know it's not going to be easy, but we are with you. And I hope it won't turn to, Mr. President, please, enough, come and go. I don't want him to get to that point. That's the reason why, for now, but for 2019, I don't see his body language doing that. But, and again, the terms are there in the law that, somebody can take. If he decides to say, okay, Magu, go, another person, and we can still, who says we can't get someone better than Magu in this fight?
Nelson, you see Mr. President trading him in?
No, I don't see that happening, because from what is happening so far, despite all the threats, blackmail by the Senate, you can see that Mr. President has remained firm on Mr. Magu, and even the president's advisors, in the legal angle, are also telling him that, look, we are comfortable with Mr. Magu. He's the one to do the job. That is not to say that there are no better Nigerians, or that there are no people that Mr. Magu is indispensable.
Who would be agreeable to the Senate.
Yes. But the truth of the matter is that the responsibility for the appointment of Mr. Magu lies with Mr. President. And we must not at any time encourage him to submit to intimidation.
Otherwise, Yinka is to ask, must the head of EFCC be agreeable to the Senate?
To the Senate. Why? If he's, you see,
must it?
No, you see, the jobs are different. Because the moment he starts doing that, okay, we all know the number, how many senators, are on the trials, how many senators are under investigation?
18 of them, 18 former governors. And there are about 21 of them.
And if she's, if Magu is with them, so what fight was, where is the fight coming from? Where is the fight against corruption? So that is what they know. And that's the reason why they don't want him, because they know that he will not compromise. So they will never want him.
Which means that the fight against corruption is real. If we go from if we take it back to where Olayinka started from. Because if we have a Magu that, you have agreed he is not going to compromise standards with the Senate, and that is the reason for his ordeal, then it means that, we can, you know, heave a sigh of relief that, you know, no, despite the shortcomings or challenges, that the intentions are there.
How can the law give provisions for plea bargain and you are talking about fighting corruption?
It's in the law books.
That is what I'm saying.
It's okay.
We are only recovering.
We cannot exhaust this matter in 1 hour. So the backroom boys are asking me, asking us to go continue with the festivities, but not before thanking you for coming. But before I round off finally, let me tell this story. A 10-year-old boy offered to pray at a Christmas church service, and he said, "Father, make all the bad people in this country good." There was a loud amen. And then he said something they never thought about. And when they are good, may they become kind. The amen won't come. That's to tell you, not all good people are kind. I wish we can have good people who are kind to take charge of our affairs. But let me thank Nelson Ekujimi for coming. Thank you, Nelson. It's a pleasure.
Happy Christmas again.
Olayinka Ola Daniels, many thanks.
Thank you.
Please
Merry Christmas.
Enjoy your Christmas. Send the bills to us.
Thank you.
All right, then. That's it for today. Merry Christmas one more time. May God bless your Christmas, and may every of your wish for self, for country, come true. Bye-bye now.